Hey, fun fact! The first event Pokemon Canada got was the Jirachi bonus disc that you got for pre-ordering Pokemon Coliseum. After that, the next one was the Shiny Beast trio representing the Zoroark movie for the Generation 4 games. Why do I bring this up as my intro to a Pokemon Rumble U review? Well, the near-field communication figures aren't sold in Canada. Why? I don't know, but as a result, I don't have them and there is next to nothing about the NFC figures in this review. The game is perfectly playable without them, although there is a menu option when you start the game taunting you, but other than that, there is next to nothing. So, the plot. An employee at a toy store falls and capsules containing toy Pokemon fly everywhere. 4 toy Pokemon fall into a nearby river and are washed away. Upon washing ashore, they begin their trek back to the toy shop. For those who haven't played the previous 2 Pokemon Rumble games, Pokemon Rumble is an action game where you fight Pokemon in real time and can freely move around, as opposed to the usual turn-based fare of the main games. In the previous Pokemon Rumble games, you would have to go through a level and fight through Pokemon until eventually reaching a boss. However, here you're just in a single arena and fighting through waves of enemies until the boss shows up. Some levels do change the goals, such as in several you're defending a small castle from being destroyed by swarms of enemies, or protecting a Pichu, but even then you still have to beat the boss. It does allow for some variety, but I wouldn't say very much. The controls are really simple, just use the control stick to move and the A and B buttons to attack. Unlike regular Pokemon, toy Pokemon only have 2 attacks. Unlike the previous games, you do not get to change those attacks. Apparently that option is only available for the figures, so as far as I can tell, you're pretty much collecting the money for nothing if you don't have the figures. There is a 2,000 Pokédollar fee to revive your group if you're knocked out that you can only pay once a level. But other than that, if you don't have the figures, I can't find anything to spend it on. Toy Pokemon don't gain levels, instead they just have a set power level and you need to get stronger Pokemon by beating other Pokemon. And there is a small chance that they will turn into a capsule. When you collect the capsule, they're yours. Typing also works, so attacks that are super effective against Pokemon in the main games are also super effective here. Although, probably for simplicity's sake, ghost attacks hit normal type Pokemon and normal attacks hit ghost Pokemon. Unlike the previous Pokemon Rumble games, you can't switch between your toy Pokemon. The one you choose at the start of the level is the one that you have to make it through the level with. Thankfully, the levels are short. I was able to complete most in under 2 minutes. The game requires 4 players to play at the same time. If you don't have 3 other people to play with, like me, you do get 3 computer players to help you. They are slightly competent and manage to get the job done, but I found that I was the one pulling most of the weight. They take out enemies just fine, but they can't revive you since they are apparently connected to you by Destiny Bond and are knocked out as soon as you are. They don't go out of their way to break rockets that spawn enemies, or break the cages that have capsules in them, or collect capsules or any money. If a capsule or money is between them and an enemy, they'll pick it up, otherwise it's all up to you. This can make some of the challenges a pain to complete. Each stage has individual challenges that you do for getting more Pokemon. Some are obscured and you'll only find out what they were once you complete the level. Challenges can be anything from collecting a bunch of money, using a certain Pokemon, using a Pokemon over or under a certain power level, not using a certain type. There are also some rather stupid challenges, such as playing a level on a certain day or at a certain time. The stages are all closed arenas of varying sizes, with different gimmicks. Gimmicks include pools of poison that deal constant damage, a gust of wind to push you away, some different ground where you're much slower, ice where you slide everywhere, cannons that shoot you across the level, a magnet to drag you to a certain spot, or a barrier that you can't cross. I actually really liked the gimmicks. It allowed for a few creative levels, such as one where you're constantly being attacked by self-destructing Voltorbs shooting out of several cannons, and across a barrier that you need to use your own cannon to cross, and I wish that there were more levels like that. I thought that the game looked nice. The shiny plasticky look actually does work, considering, well, they are toys. Some of the toy Pokemon's designs didn't exactly work for me. I mean, seriously, look at Black Kyurem. Fear how completely non-threatening he looks. On one hand, I enjoyed it a lot more than Pokemon Rumble Blast. It cut out the other battles, which I didn't like in the slightest, and the game didn't overstay its welcome, and when played in short bursts, I could see it being fun. At the very least, it's decent. It's certainly not the worst Pokemon spin-off out there. But on the other hand, I just found that the game was incredibly short. The main quest to get back to the toy shop takes less than 4 hours. After that, you can go and collect all of the Pokemon toys and do some challenge battles, but it's just extremely repetitive and wasn't enough to differentiate it from the previous 2 Pokemon Rumble games. It has a few good ideas, but they felt underutilized, such as the Voltorb shooting out of the cannons, and in the end, every stage became a beat the boss despite what the other goals were. Maybe it could have benefited from a stage editor and allow people to make their own challenges from the figures that they had collected. It was at times really chaotic and I didn't know what was going on. I'd lose sight of my Pokemon in the swarm or because of some object obscuring them. I think at least once there was enough happening on the field to cause everything to lag. At $18, I thought it was expensive and I can't recommend the game at this price to anyone but super devoted Pokemon fans. Maybe eventually there'll be a sale for it and it might be a bit more worthwhile. If you're a completionist, there would be a lot more for you to do as all 649 Pokemon from generations 1 to 5 are in the game, and that would take a while to get them, but otherwise, I was done with it in 4 hours and I had no desires to go back. I doubt even having the NFC figures would be enough to change my mind.